Rick? I see you in here too, buddy. How are you? Don't know where Alex is. Okay, he had to restart his computer. Wasn't allowing him to sign in. You guys can hear me, right? Let's just do a test run. Oh, yeah, you guys can hear me. Okay, 10-4. Been having a problem with XSplit lately. Dupes, don't you be quiet. I know you're in here. I see you. Rick, ironically, your name doesn't show up as a viewer. No, you're not even listening to the mods. Might just take a... It's a third-party software, so sometimes it doesn't exactly pick everything up. Here's my man, Dupes. How you doing, Mark? Long time no hear. Guess this is the pre-show. Probably up to Final Fantasy 18 by now. Oh, we finished them. I guess while I'm sitting here, I should update everybody's trophies, huh? That'd probably be the nice thing to do. I'm going to let you guys talk for a second while I update everybody's trophies. Alex is currently playing God's Will Fall. A little spoiler for the show, I guess. Thought about playing that game just to match him, but it's got spiders. Can't do that. X2, wasn't that like one of the ones that was hated? Or was that X13? Or was it both of them? My co-host can't seem to connect. This may be a one-man show. Oh, wait. Might have the Alex.
Tricky.
There we go, Alex.
Yeah, I was trying to sign in earlier and literally had to restart the thing because when you get up to like the picture, it's give you to the time and the date and like a desktop screen in the back, and then you hit like on the mouse and it's like then you can enter your password and everything. I wasn't even getting that. It was just kind of frozen. So
10-4. All right. All right, guys. The Twitch chat will be with you in a few seconds. Just gonna switch everything back, and then we'll start the show very shortly.
You are listening to Trophy Horse with your hosts, Tricky Mick, Alex, I Yield to No One,
Steve,
and Sid.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Trophy Wars. This is episode 573. I'm yours, Tricky Mick. Alongside with me, the man, the myth, the legend. It's Alex.
It has been a hot minute since you and I have done just a show, just me and you.
Spoiler.
Real talk.
Spoiler.
I mean, the spoiler is going to be, it would be revealed in like 5 seconds anyway. So,
I mean,
also, wait, hold on. How's it a spoiler? Because in the Trophy Horse group on Facebook, go follow us there or join the conversation. You said that just you and I were recording in the post about us going live on Twitch.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, don't try to psychoanalyze everything I do.
I wasn't psychoanalyzing. I was just pointing out something you did. I didn't try to get into the why of why you did it.
Mm-hmm. You've been
Look, man, we're coming up on the final episode, the series finale of Succession. I'm trying to psychoanalyze all those people. I ain't got time to be psychoanalyzing Tricky Mick.
You've been giving me the business for the last couple of days.
Hey, business. It's a good. It's topical. Like I said, we're gonna watch Succession tonight, the end of the series. And look, man, I just call them like I see them. I don't intentionally pick on you. It's just sometimes you say shit, you put your foot in your mouth, and
you don't intentionally.
I gotta call you out on it.
I think it's your main mission every day to pick on me.
No, my main mission every day is to get home safely and just appreciate it.
Okay.
Make sure I can go back and see the sunset at the end of the day. That's my goal.
All right, Alex. I just updated your trophies on the PSN profiles.
Hallelujah.
And we are taking your trophy card off the show for this week.
Why is that?
Because it's a big ass spider.
Oh yeah, that's the game I'm playing right now. I was thinking today. I was like, man, one of these gods one of the bosses in the game is a massive spider, so Tricky's not going to play. But also, like the title card, or like whenever you highlight a game on the PlayStation Network or on the PlayStation 5, and it's got the picture in the background, like the title screen or whatever. One of the gods on there is a spider. It's like, well, Tricky can't even look at the start of the screen, so there's no chance he's going to play this game after me.
No, I was literally saying that in the pre-show before, while we were waiting for you to connect. I'm like, I was going to play that just to match Alex. I was like, nope, it's got big-ass spiders. I'm done.
I should do that now. Look for rare trophies and games that have spiders without arachnophobia mode, and that way you can't play them. But, I mean, yeah, like I did the calculations. I think it's like 224 points from this one game for the rarity event. Not nearly as much as Rick can grab in 1 week, but, you split that up over 2 weeks, 100-plus points every week. That's pretty damn good.
Speaking of Rick sent me a message prior to the show to make sure we were recording, so he knew I'd be distracted for 2 hours, so I couldn't gain any points on him.
He probably just wanted, because of some of the lunatic things you said on the show recently, he probably just wants to come and listen live. we talked about it. It's late over there, so I'm sure Rick is staying up later than he should, but he probably just wants to keep you in check after you've been wishy-washy on this whole bet thing with him.
I have not been wishy-washy on the bet with him.
Look, here's the thing.
Hold on a second. Hold on. I want to nip this in the bud right now. I have not once pandered out and said I'm not doing the bet. You are the only person that keeps bringing up the bet. I'm not bringing up the bet with Rick. The bet's still on. Nobody's bowing out. Nobody's doing anything. I don't know what narrative you try to push or try to make it seem like I'm scared of the bet. No, I'm not scared of the bet. I'm still going to kick Rick's ass.
True. Okay. True or false? George even commented on this in one of the threads. I think it was the trophy looting thread, where you offered to reveal your strategy or the games you had played and essentially unhide your trophies, and that if you were in the top 10, that Rick should have to pay off the bet, which was not the original bet. You did say that. And even George had commented on that on the trophy looting thread.
Say that again. I'm sorry. I may have misheard you.
You said that if you revealed your trophies, the hidden ones, that you would be, by your calculations, in the top 10. And
correct.
Because you revealed your strategy, that Rick should then have to pay up the bet because you would be revealing the games you had played.
Okay, you're phrasing that a little differently than the way I did.
It's the exact same. It's like the same semantics.
No, because the way you said it is, I'm saying if I reveal it, Rick should have to lose the bet.
If you're in the top 10.
That's not what I said. I said if Rick is willing to concede the bet, I'll open up my trophies and reveal my strategy. I'm not saying if I do it, Rick has to do this. I said if Rick was willing to concede the bet, then I would reveal the trophies because then I'm releasing my strategy. It's worded differently and it means something entirely different. I'm not saying Rick should bow out. I'm not saying I should bow out. I'm saying if one thing happens, then the other thing should happen. That's all I'm saying. Oh, hold on. We got some comments from the chat. Nitro says Alex doesn't intentionally mess with you. You just make it too easy for him. Somewhat. Like I will say that I set up Alex a lot, but Alex does take some low blows on me.
Look, I call it like I see it. I call Sony out for bullshit. I call Microsoft out for bullshit. I call Nintendo out for bullshit. And I'm gonna call you out for bullshit too. Remember that time recently where I was like about to complain about getting a free game for PlayStation Plus that I had already bought, and I caught myself. I'm like, nope, not doing it. So I called my own bullshit, and I even admitted when I was wrong when JT called me out for Xbox achievements being on the computer on PC. So, I will fully admit when I'm wrong.
Okay. Rick wants a chance to retort. I told him he has a chance to retort, and then Dupe says he's missed the bet thing, and then Rick says, "Don't make me laugh. My family's sleeping." And then Dupe says, Alice has come wanting all the smoke. I like this. Alice always wants to smoke. All right, so Dupe's quick recap. In the Trophy Rarity group, me and Rick have a bet that by the end of the year, I will be in the top 5 in points. That's the bet. But there's a whole bunch of semantics and stuff that's been going on for at least the last couple of days intensely, but it's been going on for a while. And the strategy that I'm using to win the bet, a lot of people are disagreeing with my strategy, saying that it's unnecessary. I'm causing it not to be fun and all this other stuff. I'm not going to respond to every single person, but basically, some people have pointed out that I'm gaslighting, which I don't even see how I'm gaslighting anybody. I'm making it not fun. That I could see as well. But I don't agree with it, but I could see it. But my strategy basically, Dupes, is I'm hiding some of the games I'm playing so somebody can't come along and play that exact game to, 1, cancel out my points, and 2, keep me down. Because if I earn, say, 200 points in a game, and then somebody goes and plays that game, and somebody above me goes and plays 200 points in that game, then I have gained nothing on them. Where if they don't play that game, and they only play a game that's worth 100, then I've gained 100 points game for game. And if I keep that strategy up, I should be in the top 5 at the end. That's my idea. People are saying I'm being paranoid. Some people are saying I'm making it not fun. Some people say I'm gaslighting. Again, I don't know how I'm gaslighting anybody because I'm not trying to make anybody think they're crazy. But, It is what it is.
No, you just drive people crazy.
Dupes says, what's to stop other millions of PS players from playing games? Nothing. All it is I'm not advertising or putting public what games I'm playing. That's all I'm doing. I'm not.
Well, and we kind of settled this, I think, over the weekend because Rick, who is the person who has the bet with you, he's the other end of this, said that he doesn't care if you hide trophies. So if he doesn't care, honestly, it really doesn't matter to me. Then I said that Rick, if you're going to hide your trophies, that Rick should be able to hide his trophies. But Rick says for other competitions, he needs to have his, fully visible. So if Rick doesn't care and he's the one that's got money on the line, then it's fine. You can hide your trophies. But again, other people besides me have pointed out that it's skirting the line. It looks kind of shady on your part when you're the only person doing it, even if it's not explicitly against the rules.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Okay? To settle all this, and Rick's in the chat right now, and Rick basically just said the same thing you said. He said, I'll just say what I've said in the trophy looting group. I don't care that you're hiding your trophies. Carry on and do that. I don't think it gives you any benefit whatsoever. You will not finish top 5. You won't even finish in the top 10. Okay, fine. But Rick's in the chat now. Alex, you're here. What if I kept a running list of all the games that I'm playing? So when I do the reveal, you can go back in my trophy list, and if there's one game that's not on that list, then the bet's null and void, and I automatically lose. How about I keep a running list of all the games I'm playing so nobody can say, well, you hid this one, and you didn't tell us about it, and this one was earned last year, or whatever the case may be. Because I'll be honest with you. I looked, just out of curiosity, if I was to unhide the SOCOM Confrontation Platinum game, I think I would gain like 170 points. But that would be cheating because that was earned, obviously, past year. And if I unhide all my trophies at once, then that could get lost in the confusion. You know what I'm saying?
Well, here's the thing. Like, I know you say that you're worried about people seeing what you play and going back and playing what you're playing in an effort to stay ahead of you or catch up to you or whatever they want to do, or knock down the rarity of your trophies, which, again, there's not enough people in this competition to do that. And there's not really enough active people. We're all playing games, but there are people that are more active in the competition than others. And we're not going to sway that one way or the other, even if all of us play it. But there's so much. I thought about this. I wasn't going to go through your games for the mere fact that just on the superficial level that you've got so many games on your damn trophy list through all the spam you've played. I don't want to have to sit through that many games just to find out what you've actually been playing. And I also argue that when the community does have some crossover, but especially with you and I, really the only crossover in the games we play is the big Sony AAA games. Ghost of Tsushima, Horizon Forbidden West, God of War Ragnarok. Other than that, we don't play the same games. Well, I'm not gonna just play games for the sake of trophies. Like all the games that I'm playing, except for Cartoon Network Battle Crashers, because that game is terrible, and I just did it for the trophies. But all the other games I've been playing, Roller Drome, Gods Will Fall, which I'll talk about under what we've been playing. Like I actually like the concept of the game, and I want to play it.
All right, I'm not worried so much that you guys are going to drive up the rarity, because like you said, there's not enough people in the competition to do that. But I guess the best way I could say it is like the game you're playing right now is called what, Alex?
Gods Will Fall.
Okay.
It is available if you have PlayStation Plus. It is one of the catalog titles underneath Extra.
Okay, so in a alternate universe, okay, just follow me on this. Let's say I had a 100-point lead on you, right? And you found Gods Will Fall, and you said, I'm gonna play this game, and I'm gonna pass Tricky in points. So now you play the game, you pass the points, but now I know you played it, and I know it's worth what you said, 242 points. Somewhere around there?
224, I think.
Okay.
I have to relook at the numbers, but
okay.
It's got a bunch of. It's mostly ultra rares,
right?
Very rares and rares.
But my point being is, okay, now, like I said, this is an alternate universe. I say, okay, well, that game earned him 224 points. I'm gonna go play that game. I'm gonna go platinum that game, and now your 224 points that you gained on me is now null and void. That's what I'm trying to avoid. Not necessarily the rarity. It's the fact that I don't want somebody to play the exact same games that I'm playing that I think is going to earn me big enough points to get me into the top 5, where you could now go play that game, and now you'll be in the top 5, and now I'll fall somewhere down lower because I wasn't able to gain that many points on you because you played the exact same game I did. That's my strategy. Not the rarity, not anything else. It's simply that I want to earn points that are unique from everybody else, so we're not earning the same points and I'm not gaining any ground.
I understand your argument, but I also think, again, that most of us are not playing the same games. Even if we can look at each other and say that, this person earned this many points, I'm going to go play that game. I think one of the games that somebody played was Super Hot or something like that, and they got a good number of points for that. Looked up the game, didn't want to play it. So I really don't think there's a lot of crossover in what we've all been playing, except for when people are doing like the Assassin's Creed boosting groups.
All right. We're gonna stick a pin in this right now. But Rick says, Dupe says there aren't enough hours in this week. This man plays Division 99.9% of the time. I've actually stopped playing Division so much, Dupes. I play it a lot, but I don't play it that much anymore.
So you've abandoned Tross?
No, I still go back and play, but I'm not playing it like it normally was. And then Rick has 4 comments. He says, sounds like unnecessary work. Unhide all your trophies, even the 2 games that you hide from PlayStation profiles on December 31st, and you still won't be the top 5. Gaz has your stats from January 1st, and your stats on December 31st are what counts. You can have the 83 trophies you've had hidden as a freebie as far as I'm concerned. Stylen has moved from the bottom top to playing one game, which I want to know what game that is. He's now second, and
it's a train simulator game. He's getting all the rarity from the DLCs.
Gen 4. Yeah, he actually said that in his next comment. He says he's second now. No one has played Train Sim World 3 where he's earned all his points. So, I mean, hypothetically, and I'm not saying I'm not going to do this, but what's to stop me from now going playing Train Sim? Where if nobody knew he was playing a game and getting all those points, what's to stop somebody from going to get that? Because, okay, realistically, I could go play Train Simulator 3 World right now, and by everything that is being said, I'd be in the top 2. Correct?
There's nothing to stop you.
Right. So that's why I'm like, if I was styling, I would have hit that because I don't want everybody to know where I'm getting all these points from.
Yeah, but nobody else is hiding them. George has been, Mies Goatslot has been running away with this thing from, 2-3 months in, and he's not hiding anything as far as I know. I don't have him on my friends list, but I assume that he's not hiding anything. Like, whenever he's doing, we're doing the updates, him and Marky Frazier and Gareth and Rick and everybody and Stylen, he's saying exactly what they're playing within his update. So,
Oh, I listen, you guys want to say, skirting the line. You guys are saying that, I'm being unethical. I get it. I hear you. But anybody that knows me in any competition I've been in, I play to win. And so far, my strategies have led me to victory. And I have not broken any rules.
The one problem you have this time is that you waited about 5 months in to actually make this bet when Rick was 1,000 points ahead of you. And he got last week, I'll say not this week, but last week, got more points in 1 week than you've got in the entire competition. And I don't know. And Rick made the point. He doesn't have to beat me. He only has to beat everyone below me. Well, I hate to point this out, but Rick is number 5, and it was between me and him for a bit there, between 4, 5, and 6, before Stylen got up there, and we're almost, 5 fully months into this, and he's still 5th. I think maybe he might have moved up.
All right, well,
but
right now Rick is actually 4th. Stylen is actually 3rd.
Which means, did Gareth move down?
Gareth is 5th, and you're 6th.
Okay, well that's the thing though, is none of those people in the top 5 are going to stop playing. They're all going to keep going.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. Just gonna, like, you're starting from behind, way behind, but then also you got to catch up while everyone else is playing games too. So
I get
it's
that.
a long road ahead.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form this is going to be easy. I'm really worried that I'm not going to be able to hit the top 5, but I'm employing the strategy that I think is going to lead me to victory. I don't have to have anybody agree with me. I don't have to have anybody like it, but as long as I'm not cheating, which I'm not, and it's within the rules, I can't. It's like I said to somebody in the Trophy Looting group. It's like I fought all year to get to the Super Bowl, and once I get to the Super Bowl, I hand the other team my playbook so they know my strategy. That would be stupid. I'm not going to release my strategy until I win the Super Bowl. That's my line of thinking. I'm not asking you to agree with it. I'm not asking you to like it, but that's what it is. All right, let's get on with the show proper. Let's do our updated trophy count. I am level 855, total trophies of 26,720 with 727 platinums. Alex, what are you looking at, sir?
Well, thank you for updating my trophies this week since Yield is not here. I am level 479 with a total trophy count of 8,760 with a platinum count of 145 and 144 games.
Yield is level 497, total trophies of 9,530 with 172 platinums. And Sid is level 831 with total trophies of 23,019 with 716 platinums. All right. So one final thing that was brought up to me by Gareth as far as the bet and the contest goes. He says, and I understand him, in the next section when we talk about what we're playing, by me not telling you guys what I'm playing and hiding the games, he feels like I'm doing a disservice to our listeners and to you guys by not talking about the games I'm playing. I hear that, and that's weighing on my mind, so I may update my strategy because of that reason. But, Alex, why don't you tell us what you're playing, sir?
So, last week I talked about how I played Roller Drome and finished that off, got a nice new platinum trophy. This week, I was looking for something to play that would help boost me up in the rarity event because, Tricky says that he'll be happy if he beats me in Yield. Well, can't let that happen, so I'm going to keep going full steam ahead. And really, until Alan Wake 2 comes out in October, more on that later, I've really played everything I want to play for this year that's coming out. Played Dead Space Remake, played Resident Evil 4 Remake, played through Forbidden West Burning Shores, which, again, if you're a patron, Matt and I did record a Patreon episode of that, a spoiler cast, so go listen to that if you haven't and you're a patron. But so I was looking through PlayStation Plus because I'm looking to also save some money. I've got a subscription, so why not go ahead and use it? I was looking through the catalog, and I found this game called Gods Will Fall, which is kind of, I don't want to say it's fully roguelike. It's a roguelike-like game, dungeon crawler. Essentially, the story is humanity has been kind of held under the thumb of the gods for long enough, and the whole idea of, well, if you make nice for the gods, they will make sure you're taken care of, but if you defy them in any way, they'll punish you. And humanity gets sick of it, and they form an army to go take on the gods. And of course, the gods, they know you're coming, so there's a stormy seas while you're going to the island, shipwreck and everything. So only 8 of the warriors survive. So your party is 8 people. And there are 10 dungeons on the island. Each one has a boss at the end. And each dungeon is themed. One is more agricultural. One is more about the sea. One is more about knowledge. So it's like a giant library with scrolls. There's another one that's more like natural, like nature, like a forest, centered around a forest. So you basically go to each one of these dungeons. You get through it. And at the end, you fight the boss. And after you beat the 10 bosses, you win the game. So yeah, I say roguelike because, you don't pick difficulties in the game. The way the game handles difficulty is it assigns you a random difficulty every time you start a new game. So the only way you'll be able to tell what the difficulty is the boss health bar, how big that is, and how many enemies are in the way. All the layouts of the dungeons are all the same. I don't think that ever changes, but just the number of enemies and the enemies that show up, that does change depending on your difficulty. If you're going for the platinum in this, which I said before, there's a lot of ultra rares and very rares in this, so it'll get you a lot of points in the rarity event if you're willing to play it. But one thing to keep in mind is there is a tutorial, and you get a trophy for finishing the tutorial. However, there is also a trophy, a gold trophy, tied to finishing the game without using items. It's called Keep It Simple, and it's kind of the most difficulty-specific trophy to where you can't use items during the game. During the tutorial, they ask you to use an item to get through the cave. So what you want to do is, when you start a new game, go through the tutorial, get your silver trophy, finish it, and then quit out and start a brand new game. You can walk right by the cave, the tutorial, and then go to your first dungeon boss, and you'll be fine. But if you finish the tutorial and you keep going, that's going to negate that gold trophy, the one where it says, no, don't use any items. So, again, finish the tutorial, quit out, and start a brand new game, pass by the cave, and go to your first boss. If anyone has any questions about that, need me to explain it any better, I can, but I feel like that's pretty good. But, I mean, so far, I do like the game. The god designs, I like them all. They're pretty cool. Nothing I would say that's like uber memorable, but they're all. I mean, they're all pretty cool. Just nothing like like your Shadow of the Colossus or your God of War. Nothing awe-inspiring like that. But I mean, the combat, it's a little on the shallow side. There's light and heavy attacks. You got to kind of master the parry system. As you go along, beating dungeons, you get your characters learn new abilities. They also get new weapons that you get to pass out, like improved weapons. So they go from like 1 to 4 stars. So basically, you can make your party stronger as time goes on. And essentially, if you go while you're going through a dungeon and you lose a party member, then one of your other 8 will go in after that. And if that party member succeeds in the dungeon, then the first one who died and got trapped there will come out too. So you have your full party. I assume, I haven't done it yet, but if you lose all 8 of your party, it's game over. You lose. But yeah, every time you go into a dungeon, if you lose with a party member and they die, you have to do the entire thing from start to finish again. You don't get any like progress or checkpoints or anything like that, which can be frustrating, but the dungeons also aren't super long. One of the dungeons I did last night, the boss, like literally, you can walk right to him right from the start and he's like 10 feet away, his lair. But the rest of that world is you can go destroy totems around his realm and it'll weaken him before you go fight him. Whereas if you just go to him straight away, he's at full health. So, but yeah, I mean, I like the game. It can be frustrating, but the concept of it, of going into dungeons and getting through the enemies, the grunts to get to the final boss, it's a really cool concept. I like it a lot. And yeah, I don't know what to say. I will say that I think a lot of people would be frustrated with this game and kind of look at the combat as a little bit more simplistic. But I mean, overall, like, I have always kind of liked the hack and slash action games, like, the God of War on the PS2. So really, it like a deep combat system isn't always necessary for me if like the context you're playing within is good enough. So worth trying, but I don't know if it's going to be everyone's cup of tea.
All right. And I have been playing Jedi Survivor. I'm just going to say, fuck that parkour forced hair. That is a motherfucking... Oh, my God. That's so frustrating. And apparently there's 2 more of them. Played a little bit of Division 2. Tried playing Tears of the Kingdom 3 times. And the first time...
Well, here we go.
First time I played it, game glitched. But I'm not spoiling anything. After you get out of the cave, you jump off a cliff and you go to the title screen. The game glitched. I just never came down to the ground and just kept falling. So I had to restart the game. Then I started the game. I got to a certain point where I thought that I missed something. So I said, okay, you know what? I'm only, an hour in. I'll restart the game. Restarted the game. Went and got that missing item. Now I'm stuck in that area and can't escape from there. And as it turns out that I needed to go to the first place before I went back to the second place, but I can't get back to the second place after I jump off the cliff. So I'm confused right now. I just haven't restarted it again. And apparently the whole solution is I just have to eat a pepper to keep myself warm enough to get to one place to get another item, and then I can go to the third place. But that's my own problem. The first one, not my issue, game glitched out on me. Second 2, I started over on my own, and the third one is that. Yeah.
Sounds like you need our own hero of Hyrule, Matt Grinelli, on your side.
I reached out to him. And, okay, quick discussion, Alex, just because it's not in the show. Have you played Breath of the Wild? Or at least
no.
You've seen it, right? Like, you've seen the graphics art
style?
Yeah,
I mean, I've seen people play it. Yeah, I've seen the graphics.
Okay. Are you a fan of that art style?
I don't have a problem with it. I mean, Zelda, I think, has succeeded in many different visual styles. Like, there's a whole Space World trailer where they showed a more realistic Zelda, which we would eventually get in Twilight Princess. But then, they later revealed Wind Waker. One of those people that was belly aching and crying about it. I was me. I was one of those people. And, this was before I had ever played Sly Cooper. But in hindsight, Wind Waker has its own special charm. And at some point, I do want to go back and play it because I really don't have an issue with the graphics now. I mean, now that they've gone more realistic, I think I can go back and like be like, you know what, I can appreciate Wind Waker in what they were trying to do with it and push in a different direction. So I really don't have an issue with the Breath of the Wild or the Tears of the Kingdom graphics. I mean, they look fine. Honestly, I think with the Switch, you're never going to have something that looks as good as Horizon Forbidden West. But, with Zelda, it looks good enough. I mean, it's not really a game breaker.
I'm not trying to say it's a game breaker or it's like it's so horrible, but I don't know. I'm just not a fan of that art style. It's almost like it's cel shaded, but just a little bit more blurry.
I mean, I get what you're saying, kind of muddied.
Yeah, it's
visually, but I don't know. I think they've made it work. I think that within that world, it seems to be the most reasonable graphical style.
All right.
To have. Honestly, in that series, gameplay is always king. So visually, it's not. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
All right. And the other thing I've been playing is Grid Legends. I'm working towards that platinum. That's gonna take me a while. All right, so
do you mind telling me if that is a particularly rare platinum? I'm not. It's a racing game. I'm not going to play it. I don't care.
I actually have the PSN profiles Grid Legends up now right now. The base trophy is 1246 on PSN profiles, but it's a 0.3 ultra rare on the PSN.
Well, since we go by PSN profiles, that would be a rare.
That would be a rare. Which I don't want to get into that discussion, but me and you had that. We had a conversation about the difference between the PSN and the PSN profiles. That just annoys me, but it is what it is at this point.
I mean, yeah, like you could argue that you would have more points if we use the PlayStation Network numbers, but then
everybody else would. Everybody else would.
Everyone else would as well. So yeah. I don't think it really changed the numbers drastically.
No, my gripe is like, okay, I'm going for the platinum in Grid Legends, right? So I look on the PSN and I see that it's a 0.3 ultra rare. And I'm like, all right, that's a trophy I can go after. And then it's just a letdown when you find out, oh, no, it's no longer an ultra rare. It's only a rare. And that's my gripe with it. It's just a letdown when you go, oh, I worked so hard. I got this. Only 0.3% of PlayStation players have it. And then it's like, no, PSN profiles, you lose a point because it's on PSN profiles and more people have played it. I don't know. I understand it. I'm not complaining. I'm not saying we should change anything. I'm just saying it's a letdown. That's all.
I get what you're saying, but what they kind of want to focus on is people who hunt trophies and people, not the total populace that plays on the PlayStation, but more of the people who are focused on the grind for trophies.
Right. All right. So let's get into our topics. Rick says you can't have lower than a 0.1% on the PSN. Yes, you can. And apparently, because I looked on some of the trophies, some are zeros, but that's because nobody's gotten it. But once one person has it, it's a 0.1%. And he says, and there's millions of little trophies on there, 0.1 on it. Yes, there are. And there's also 0.0s. But yeah. All right, so let's get into our topics. Alex, I think you sent this topic my way because it's coming from a non-IGN source. It's coming from GameSpot.com and written by Evan Campbell. PlayStation 5 players are spending way more than the last generation. Sony seems pleased with how much money PlayStation 5 owners are dropping on video games, add-on subscriptions, and accessories for the console. The company boasted so far, November 2020 through March 23, people are spending an average of $622. That's a considerable increase over what PlayStation 4 owners were shelling out over a similar time window, November 13 to March of 16, according to the Sony business update. The average life-to-date spend per active customer or per console on the PS4 was $479, meaning that players are spending an average of $143 more on the PlayStation 5. To be clear, these numbers don't involve the purchase of the system. Another intriguing aspect of this average spend per Sony is the add-ons are a segment that seen the largest percentage increase of 210% from the PS4 to PS5. A large chunk of this presumably comes from the free-to-play games with battle passes and cosmetics, such as Fortnite and Call of Duty Warzone 2. There has been a 10% decrease from the 4 to the 5 on full game purchase as part of the average spend. On top of the showing the rise in the popularity of free-to-play and live service games, it's important to keep in mind how COVID-19 pandemic has affected game development and resulted in fewer current-gen exclusives so far. All right, so the article does go on, but before I throw this, Alex, I think this is a little misleading because you're saying that there's a $143 difference. I get that, but that could also be because we've increased game prices from $60 to $70 as well. Even though it says you're spending less, more people are buying full game purchases. You're going up $143. 10%. People are buying 10% less new games, full games, but that $10 does add up over time. Don't you agree?
I mean, yeah, it does.
So, JT, thank you for the sub. JT said in chat, he says, "Hey, Rick says it's the commish." JT says, and Rick says, "Do you not like dark green?" I don't know. Oh, dark green name. All right, so I mean that's pretty interesting that we're spending more money, but like I said, I think it's mostly the fact that the price increase on the games.
It could be, or it could be also that, we used to say that, well, we wish PlayStation had sales like Steam, because Steam always had sales. Well, we've gotten to that point now where sales seem to overlap, or like once one sales cycle ends for Sony, another one starts. We currently have the Planet of Sales or Planet of Discounts sale on the PSN, and that follows, a previous one. So there's always stuff on sale on the PlayStation Network.
That is true.
Even, games that came out 2 or 3 months ago, they are very swiftly discounted. So it may just be due to the fact that, there are more sales on the PSN. So people are rather than buy one game for $70 or two games for $120 or $140, people are buying more games because they say, well, I'm willing to spend a little more because I'm getting more games for my dollars. And also the rollout of the revamped PlayStation Plus happened on PlayStation 5. So you've got more people spending money on memberships for the PlayStation 5. There are now tiers to that. You're not just spending your $60, $70 for basic. You have extra, you have premium, and, also, PlayStation Plus, the very basic membership's a good deal, so you may have more people buying into that, but you also have options as far as that goes, and people are willing to spend more to get to that. I mean, how much did you spend for me to have premium for 2 years just to upgrade my final 2 years of Plus, basic to premium?
I think a total of $200.
So, I mean, yeah, that's also something that could be leading to this. Yeah, I mean, accessories. I mean, we're also talking about like peripherals and stuff. Are they figuring the PlayStation VR 2, which apparently, we read an article where it said it was ahead of the sales of the original VR.
Yeah, that's actually a topic later in the show that we have about that.
All right, but there's I can totally believe it because Sony again is, when it comes to generating revenue of a video game company, Sony's second behind the Chinese giant, Tencent. So Sony's making a lot of money.
Yep. All right. The next thing we have is The Last of Us multiplayer is reportedly been facing setbacks as Naughty Dog announces a delay. This is coming from IGN and written by Adam Bankhurst. So there's an update to the article, so we'll read the original article first. In addition to apologizing that it wasn't ready to show off The Last of Us multiplayer game as the project needs a little bit more time, Naughty Dog also confirmed it's hard at work at a, quote, brand new single-player experience. Naughty Dog took to Twitter to share the update with its fans, as many were expecting The Last of Us multiplayer game to make an appearance at the PlayStation Showcase. However, Naughty Dog confirmed that the team realized the best thing for the game is to give it more time before it's shown off to the world. The quote, the tweet reads, quote, "We know many of you have been looking forward to hearing more about our Last of Us multiplayer game. We're incredibly proud of the job our studio has done thus far, but as development has continued, we've realized what is best for the game is to give it more time. Our team will continue to work on the project as well as our other games in development, including a brand new single-player experience. We look forward to sharing more soon. We're grateful to our fantastic community and for your support. Thank you for your passion for our games. It continues to drive us." I think this is a good thing by Naughty Dog saying, listen, we're not going to show this off too early. We're not going to get people hyped and then have to pull things out or change things. I think this is good by Naughty Dog. I was disappointed I didn't see it, but understand that they're delaying it because they don't think they're ready to show it. Fully understand.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not ready to show it, don't show it. But at the same time, I think also part of the problem they're having is part of the problem I think that Skull and Bones is having is they built. I mean, I'm sure they had multiplayer numbers from The Last of Us to say, okay, this many people are playing The Last of Us multiplayer. We could totally sell this as a single game. But I think they're probably running into the same problem of Skull and Bones, where it's like we're building around this one specific thing, like the ship battles in what was it, Assassin's Creed, right? That they split that from.
Yes, that's good.
And it's probably hard to make an entire game worth $70 on the shelf around that one mechanic. I mean, I don't know how many people played The Last of Us multiplayer, but the reason those games won awards was because of single player stuff. It wasn't because of The Last of Us multiplayer. So I don't know. To me, it's also troublesome. Like, yeah, if you're not ready to show it, that's fine. But it's also probably troublesome because didn't they say that they were scaling back or something about like the multiplayer? Like they had to make changes to their plans for it.
I think they said something was said along they were too ambitious and they had to pull back some of the things they wanted for it.
So yeah, so I'm just curious. I'm curious to see what that project turns out to be, but also I just think it's hard to make a multiplayer game based on a single player game where people very much love the single player aspect and could probably take or leave the multiplayer. It's not like Call of Duty where some people never play the single player; they just play the multiplayer. They don't care. Last of Us is probably the opposite of that, where people don't care about the multiplayer and just want to play the single player. So to me, it's kind of hard to build a multiplayer game around that. And I think that they're having not second thoughts, but they're kind of like, okay, well, maybe this isn't what we thought it would be. Maybe who knows? Maybe they've had discussions with Sony and Sony's like, this is going to take too long or too many resources to develop. You guys got to change it up.
All right.
I don't know. To me, it's kind of troubling though. Like I'm a little bit worried about that project.
All right. Well, something. I'm going to throw a swerve at you, Alex, because I know you're in the agenda, or you at least were in the agenda. We have a topic from the Twitch chat that Rick wants us to cover. You ready for it?
Sure.
All right. This is coming from TrueAchievements.com. A new Xbox rule changes to target easy gamer score titles. I'm going to read this entire article, so please go give it a click. It's written by Sean Carey. Microsoft has made significant changes to Xbox achievement rules in what appears to be an attempt to stop extremely quick completions and easier gamer score titles from flooding the Xbox store, a la spam titles on the PlayStation Network. As per our source, a developer at ID at Xbox program wishes to remain anonymous. Microsoft recently made changes to its Xbox game certification rules when it comes to achievements and gamer score. The rules govern which is allowed when publishing games on the Xbox platforms. According to the source, an update was made on Monday, May 1st, 2023. To those rules that aims to stop developers from releasing easier gamer score titles that can be completed in just a few minutes or with minimal user input. What changes have Xbox made to the achievement rules? The changes were made to the Xbox requirement XR/055 achievements and game score, and its test fails examples with the following line added to XR's definition. Quote, all achievements represent a thorough exploration of our engagement with game content, end quote. More significantly, Microsoft has added 3 new fail examples to the XR/055. All achievements can be unlocked within a few minutes of starting the game. Achievements do not represent a thorough exploration or engagement with game content. Achievements can be unlocked without any or minimal user input unless a part of a core gameplay loop. From our understanding, if a game meets one of these fail examples, the game will not pass certification, and Microsoft will block it from being published on the Xbox platform. All right. Well, I didn't read the whole article, but that's basically all it. So basically, Xbox is banning all these spam titles like the Jumpin' Taco and stuff like that. Obviously, you're a fan of that, Alex.
I mean, personally, I don't really care. Someone getting a platinum trophy in those games doesn't make any of the trophies that I've earned any less important to me, and that's the thing. It's important to me because otherwise nobody else cares about my career as a trophy hunter. It's just me. Who honestly cares? I mean, Sony obviously wants the PlayStation trophy system to be legitimate, but people, buy into these games so they can be, they can have 1,000 platinums. Or you've got other people who just play the games they want to play and they care about their completion percentage like me, or they play the games they want to play and they get as many platinums as they can and they care about those type of games. I don't know. It just doesn't really matter to me. It's kind of pointless. I mean, if you're stopping, I can see, because with the Wii era, you had a bunch of shovelware on that system that really brought down that console, and it brought down everyone's opinion of that console because there was just so much crap on the console.
Listen,
but I don't know if it's the same thing here with the trophy system.
Listen, I think people's biggest gripe is that there's so much shovelware being put on the PlayStation that you can't find good, legit games. I mean,
I've never had that problem. Like, I've never seen that shovelware anywhere near me. Like, and even like on the sales when they had the big discounts, like I'm scrolling down and the biggest best-selling games are at the top. You don't have a bunch of crap at the top.
Well,
so
to be fair, you can't really get a discount on a 99-cent game. I mean, you can discount down to like 50 cents or a quarter, I guess, but you're not going to get really a lot of. I've seen them stop publishing every so often because there was one company that was publishing the same game, 2 versions of the same game, the 4 to 5 version 1 week, and then the very next week you got the same games, but it was the Turbo Edition, which just meant you got the achievements faster. That's all it really meant, and they sold that for $1 more. There you go. Listen, I'm of two minds of it, because if people are doing it just to make a quick buck, how are you going to hate on somebody's hustle? And if it's any developer doing this to, make some money so they can make a bigger and better game, which I think is possibly what's going on, yeah, I'm for that too. And if you're playing the market and trophies are what people want, and you're willing to sell them 71 trophies for 99 cents, people are going to jump on it. These games are always successful because there's a market for them. Let's be real. And yeah, that's what's going on. So, Dark Knight.
In the end, I don't think it really matters. Like, yes, keep those games off the front page of the PlayStation Network and keep them towards the back, to where people, if you are getting people who want to seek out these games know how to find them. I'm sure there's forums and all that to tell people, hey, these are the names of the games you can find on PlayStation Network. They're easy platinums.
Yep.
But for everyone else, just as long as you're keeping them, you're making it easy to find the games you want to, like the bigger, better games, and they're not cluttering up the front page of the PSN, or like you have to scroll down all the way to the bottom of the sales page to be able to see the games that are actually worth a damn. It's not a problem. Who cares?
Rick says PlayStation needs to follow suit. I'm not looking for the biggest best-selling games. I'm looking for the indie darlings that are surrounded by these crap games. And then in response to what I said, when's Breakthrough Gaming's big AAA game coming out then? Rick, I get you. I'm not saying that's 100%. I'm saying that's a possibility. I mean, if I was a struggling game dev and didn't want to put my game on Kickstarter or Indiegogo or something like that, and I could, spend 20 minutes making this game and then, sell it to, 100,000 people. I mean, I'm not going to say that I wouldn't do that. I'm not saying, I don't know any of these developers. I'm not going to say that's what they're doing. I'm saying that's a possibility. But how you gonna disrespect somebody's hustle? All right, back to our original agenda, Alex. Prince of Persia Remake is in its conception phase and will not be featured at the Ubisoft Forward. This has come from George Yang over at IGN. Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time Remake has been rebooted again and is now in its conception phase. Furthermore, the game will not be shown at the upcoming Ubisoft Forward on June 12th. There are no plans to remake any other game in the series. Ubisoft provided an update about its Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time remake project since it was moved over to its Montreal studio from its Pune and Mumbai studios in India last year. Quote, in terms of development stage, we're in the conception right now. Since we took over the project, we've been looking at feedback from the community and finding our own way of delivering the game, end quote. That was said by Ubisoft producer Jean-Francois Naud in an interview posted to Ubisoft's blog. He continued by saying, quote, now we're building up the team, defining the priorities, putting prototypes together, testing elements, and looking at how we can include community feedback in the development as well. It's still in an early stage, and players should not expect to hear more about the game this year, but rest assured we're putting all our strengths and heart into the project, end quote. Okay. We got it. Don't expect it anytime soon. You guys are starting over. I'm good with that.
I know. I think it's good to get out in front of that and be like, hey, instead of people expecting to see it at a show and then be disappointed when it's not there, like be upfront and say, hey, you guys aren't going to see it, just so you know. Also, though, it makes more sense why Ubisoft wants the Division to stay alive as long as and viable as long as it can, and by that I mean Division 2, and why they're just the only game they can seem to get out is an Assassin's Creed game, because how many titles do they have in trouble getting out? Not just Beyond Good and Evil 2, not just Skull and Bones, but we've heard about the Prince of Persia remake for a long time now. And I get that you want to put the time and the effort into it, which I appreciate. But also, you look at that company, and we've talked about it to death, but they're just doubling down on Assassin's Creed and seem to have so much trouble getting out all these titles that we've heard about for years and years and years. So while I do appreciate their upfrontness about it and the fact that they say they want to put effort into it, it gives me even less confidence in Ubisoft, because it just seems like that company's a hot mess and they can't get anything out the fucking door.
All right. Well, speaking of getting things out the door, let's move on to our next topic, which you kind of alluded to before. PlayStation VR 2 has a strong launch despite reports outselling the original PSVR. This is written by Ryan Dinsdale over at IGN. The VR 2 is off to a stronger start than previous reports indicated, as Sony has revealed the virtual reality headset had a better launch than the original PSVR. Shared in a business presentation, Sony revealed that the VR 2's first 6 weeks outperformed the original VR's first 6 weeks, coming in at just below the 600 units sold. Numbers are unclear to the provided graph, but the original PSVR came in closer to 500,000. Sony described the period as a, quote, strong PlayStation VR 2 launch, end quote, contradicted the report in March saying that the headset was only expected to sell 270,000 units in roughly the same 6 weeks period. And industry analysts said that Sony would need to cut the VR 2's price to avoid a complete disaster. The headset launched in February with 42 games, including the headline entitled Horizon Call of the Mountain, and a variety of virtual reality updates for critically acclaimed games like Gran Turismo 7 and Resident Evil Village. Sony announced a handful of new games at the PlayStation, it says State of Play, but it's a showcase, which we're going to go into in our topic of the week. So, yeah, it seems like the VR 2 is actually doing pretty well.
Okay, so caveat, context, well compared to the VR 1, which again was new technology for Sony, and you're getting something going up off the ground and trying to get PlayStation owners to support it on top of buying a console. And it was only like, 100 units more? Actually, I think this looks pretty bad.
100,000 units more.
100,000. Okay, well, the way you said it was, okay, I got it now. But okay, all right, then that because the way when you said it was like 500, 600, and I just didn't realize you were speaking in the hundreds of thousands.
Yes.
So.
And let's be real. This launched in February, and if they're just below 600,000 units, and we're in the end of May, you're talking 3 months. You're averaging 200,000 units sold every month. I mean, it's not spectacular, but it is good.
Yeah, I mean, I guess as long as it's tracking above the original, then, that's definitely better, because it means they've converted more people, or at least, you would hope that, I guess they could always, stop at what the original sales of the PSVR were and not convert any people. But for now, it looks like they've actually converted new customers. But let's not forget, Sony projected that they would have 2 million available at launch. And they haven't even hit half of that. They haven't even hit a third of it. So that's still well below Sony's projections of what they could be able to sell. So, and they said they would slow it down production if, the numbers weren't there. But to have 2 million available at launch and then you sell 600,000 4 months in or 3 months in, like, even if it's better than the original VR, that's still under what Sony expected.
Yeah.
Or was hoping for.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's not exactly, a rosy picture, because, At any point, the sales of the VR, like you expect the sales of the PlayStation 5 to keep growing. At any point, the sales of the VR could just drop off a cliff.
That is very true. All right, so our last title before we go into our topic of the week, I put this in because I didn't want to be called a hater. AEW Fight Forever is launching next month. I bring this up because it was announced. A lot of people were saying that this game was coming, it's coming. We never got a release date, but finally, THQ Nordic and Yuke's Media Creations have announced that AEW Fight Forever, the All Elite Wrestling game, will be available on June 29th for the 4, the 5, the 1, the series, the Xbox One, the Series, the Switch, and PC. This game has been was announced 2.5 years ago, and we got a video from Kenny Omega saying thank you so much for your patience and being awesome fans. Is coming out with a full campaign mode, multiplayer, creator wrestler, and various other unusual modes, and that's in quotation marks. So yeah, there you go.
I want to say that there are things that worry me about this game. Well, I think Cody Rhodes is still in the game, even though he left for WB last year.
Is he?
I think so. Also, MJF still has his Pinnacle. When he was in, if you've watched AEW television, he was in the group called the Pinnacle with FTR, Wardlow, and Shawn Spears, formerly Ty Dillinger. And it's been a while since he was part of that, but he still has the Pinnacle video in his entrance. And they don't have full entrance videos or like full entrances. They just come to the stage, do their moves, and then it's on to the next introduction. Like even in No Mercy on the N64 had full introductions of people walking to the ring and getting to the ring. So it's going to be more arcadey. There's going to be more blood than in a usual WWE game. They have Molotov cocktails in the game, which is the most ridiculous thing. And they also do have a smaller roster. And perhaps one of the – I'm not trying to completely shit on it, but this game could bomb. I could see it bombing. Hopefully not, because the people at Ukes obviously were behind the SmackDown games, and those were a lot of fun. So I hope it does well. But there are things that I've seen about or heard about this game that make it seem like they are it's very dated. And also, they showed a model of Eddie Kingston in the game because people thought maybe he wouldn't be in the game. The model of Eddie Kingston looks like complete shit. It looks bad.
And not to mention that they took the WWE license away from Ukes because they were dropping the ball.
Well, we'll see how this goes, but I'm not gonna buy it right away. I'm gonna wait and see what the review scores are like. But as crazy as it is that I would play with Molotov cocktails in a wrestling game, I also just kind of want to see how it checks out because I could see this game being a very big disappointment, being like a massive financial hit for Tony Khan, putting all this money into it for 2.5 years, and it just comes out and it's like falls flat on its face. I could easily see that.
Well, you swayed Rick because when I started announcing this, Rick says I might finally play a wrestling game since No Mercy, and then he comes back and says now I'm put off Molotov cocktails. I'll wait for WrestleQuest,
which actually isn't a wrestling game, there, Rick.
Yeah.
It's a Japanese RPG with wrestlers, but I mean, be like Daryl. If you want to play a wrestling game, a good wrestling game, go find Def Jam Vendetta for the GameCube or the PlayStation 2.
He said, "Yeah, I know." All right, so we don't have any questions, but what's a show without hearing it?
Time to check my social media, yeah.
So the only question we have on the page, which wasn't in the thread, was Rick saying, "Are you guys gonna be on Twitch tonight?" Yes, Rick, we're gonna be on Twitch tonight. So other than that, all right. So going back, so our topic of the week, I have two up here, Alex. One, we're definitely gonna cover the other one. If we're we got some time, we might cover the other one because depending on how fast we go through this. So our topic of the week is the PlayStation Showcase, everything that was announced. Just for context, me, Yield, and Tross, we did a Patreon episode where we got into all this, but we didn't get Alex's opinion, so I want to go over some things with Alex because I saw, he sent some messages afterwards, and, obviously I want to get his full impressions. So, Alex, this is mostly you giving your impressions. So as I announce a game, just tell me if you want to talk about it or you want to move on. Fair?
Okay, and hopefully you'll chat with me when I make points to if there's any confusion on my part, because I did watch some of the trailers and I did scroll through what was announced. I didn't watch the show live because I was at work when it happened.
Yeah, I watched it while I was at work, so I actually after I recorded the Patreon episode, I went back and watched the full thing again on my TV, so I got a little thing. I'll go back and forth with you, but I'm kind of reserving my things because I've already given mine. But obviously, I'll have a conversation with you. This was not in order of the showcase. This is just how IGN listed all the games. But here we go. Spider-Man 2 gets a lengthy gameplay showcase. Says we didn't get a release date for Spider-Man 2. We did get a lengthy gameplay trailer, which was like 10 minutes long, featuring both Spider-Man, Peter Parker, and Miles Morales. Pete's new moveset revolves around the symbiote suit, which we saw some flashy moves from Miles too. The trailer also revealed a new Spider-Man villain, Kraven the Hunter. As I said on the Patreon episode, it also revealed another one because we also didn't know we were getting Lizard. So, Alex, your thoughts on Spider-Man 2's trailer?
Kraven the Hunter looked good. Insomniac games tend to look very good, so like visual quality is very nice. They crammed a lot of villains into the original Spider-Man game, so you figure that they're going to try to at least match or, top that. Because usually with a sequel, you got to do bigger, better, or bigger, more. That's what people expect. And even Miles Morales had a good number of villains and bosses within it. So, yeah, they pack them into Spider-Man. But it's Insomniac. I have complete faith it's going to be fantastic. Yeah, I mean, Kraven the Hunter, he's part of the Sinister Six, isn't he?
No.
He's not?
I don't think he was.
I will have to look that up because I thought he was affiliated somehow.
I'm looking it up right now.
But I mean, overall, what I saw, I mean, was I fully expect that of the Insomniac team just to put out a.
You are right. Sorry, apologize.
Okay.
Who
else is in the Sinister Six?
Dr. Octopus, Electro, Kraven the Hunter, Mysterio, Sandman, and Vulture, and then future people that were in it were Hobgoblin, Gog, Beetle, Scorpio, Shocker, Kraven the Hunter 2, Venom, Grim Reaper, Lizard, Trapster, Chameleon, Rhino, Beetle, Boomerang, Living Brain, Overdrive, and Speed Demon. Half those I've never even heard of. Well,
to be fair, I mean, not that we couldn't have people come back again, but a lot of those characters have already been featured in Spider-Man, in the first Spider-Man game, or Miles Morales. Rhino was in Spider-Man Miles Morales, and may have actually been also in Marvel Spider-Man. Doc Ock was the final boss of the original Marvel Spider-Man, and I don't know if we got Mysterio, but Sandman hasn't been seen yet. So, I mean, there are some in there that could still be part of it, but some of those we definitely have seen.
We did get Mysterio.
Okay.
Yeah. So... Rick says...
Oh, Vulture was also in the first game, and he was even sort of in Miles Morales.
Yeah. Rick says, so every Spider-Man villain has been in a Sinister Six, because there's been, like, multiple versions of the Sinister Six. I think they would just talk about the original six, Rick.
Look, Rick, don't take it... I got a W. Don't take it away from me, man.
There's been... I'm scrolling right now. There's been Sinister 6, 15, 16... Yeah. There's been 16 Sinister Sixes.
So. I mean, also, to be fair, look at the X-Men. The X-Men have had a number of different people within there, including Juggernaut, Sabretooth, and Magneto. So, kind of along the same lines.
Hold on a second. Rick, I was... on the Wikipedia page, it said some later recruits, because he said I named 20 things. I was saying there's been 16 versions of a Sinister Six. So... I wasn't saying they were all part of the Sinister Six. I was saying there's been 16 different versions of it. Anyway, let's get back to the showcase. The next thing revealed was Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater Remake has been announced. PlayStation announced a remake of Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater. None of the gameplay itself was shown, but instead we got a big mysterious teaser trailer leading up to Snake's big reveal. PlayStation also announced the PlayStation Solid Master Collection Volume 1, which includes the original Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, and Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater, which is coming to the PlayStation 5 later this year.
So what I find funny about this is that gamers are like, we want new games, we don't want remakes, whereas that's what Konami's making its lifeblood off these days, just doing remakes and collections and re-releasing games they had previously released. And even though Konami is, assumedly outsourcing this, but Konami is ahead of this, and you're still going to support Konami, Tricky.
Well, apparently this is Konami actually making it itself.
Okay, because they had talked about they were going to focus on their most important franchises, and they were had mostly moved away from internal teams, and we're going to have to get a lot of this done outside the company. But all right, well, I guess there's enough left at Konami to get it done. But yeah, it tickles me that they are getting away with doing so many damn remakes, and people are so excited about them.
Rick says he wants remakes. He also says, because I kind of skipped over it a little bit. He says he hopes Metal Gear Solid 1 has a bastard hard trophy list, not like the usual spam that PlayStation 1 games get. Also needs to include a trophy for having a wolf pee on you while you're in a box. Yeah.
Have as hard of a platinum trophy as you want. I'm not going to be playing it, so I don't care. Though, you'll probably have to play it like 8 times or something to get the platinum trophy.
All right, moving on. Oh, wait, before we move on, did you watch this trailer, Alex?
For what?
For Metal Gear Solid 3.
I did not, but I thought it wasn't much of a trailer. It was just like a teaser. They didn't show all that much.
No, it started off with what am I thinking? Why can't I think of the word? Anyway, it showed a bird. It got picked up by an owl. Owl dropped, and then it was the owl, an alligator, and a giant ass snake fought over the owl, and then they fought each other. And then it just pans into the swamp, and you see Snake's head, and man, did he look good! Oh, if they can make the game look that good, I am so hyped. Oh my god. So yeah, it was a good trailer, and they provide some screenshots afterwards. And apparently there's been some confusion because if you look at the way they say Metal Gear Solid in the title screen, it shows Metal Gear Solid, and then it shows a triangle, which is known as a delta, which Konami said that's supposed to symbolize a remake and a rebranding of it. So that's why they did it. But it's called Snake Eater. All the original voice actors are coming back, and the story is going to remain unchanged. It's just going to be updated to better graphics, HD graphics.
That was a big question that I saw in our chat was David Hayter is coming back.
Yes, David Hayter is back. And to be fair, David Hayter was never fired from the series. I can't tell you why. Like Kiefer Sutherland did the voice because it's a spoiler for 5, but David Hayter was never replaced as the voice of Snake. I'm just gonna put that out there. The next thing we got announced was the PlayStation announced its Project Q. That will allow players to stream any game from their PlayStation 5 console using remote play over Wi-Fi. It has an 8-inch HD screen, and all the buttons and features of the DualSense controller has. No release date was given for the hardware, but Sony also revealed their first official PlayStation 5 earbuds. So, Alex, I know you're not buying this.
So, essentially, it's not like they're going to develop original games for this thing. It's just that you can stream your PlayStation 5 games that you own to this device.
Correct. It's a glorified remote play system.
And so, I mean, people obviously with the things you use to control them on each side, it's like a handheld thing, look like the DualSense chopped in half and put on each side. I mean, obviously people have made comparisons to the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, it looks like a Switch with DualSense on each side and not detachable.
You know, there are certain games on the Switch that work really well in handheld mode. Animal Crossing New Horizons is one of those. Like the Pokemon games, you play pretty well in handheld, but obviously those originally started on the Game Boy. But I can't really think of many PlayStation games that I want to play in handheld mode. Usually, there's some indie titles, I'm sure, but, you know, even something like Roller Drum, I want on a big TV. When I'm playing Horizon, I want on a big TV. Like, I just don't know that I have played any games on the PlayStation recently, maybe Untitled Goose Game, that would work on a smaller screen like this. I don't know.
Well, I think
remote
this
play,
is more. I think this is more for, and I don't know that this is relevant in your house, but say Ashley wanted to watch TV and you wanted to, finish out, collectible grinding or whatever you got to do. You can just pop this on the couch, sitting next to Ashley while she's watching the Desperate Housewives, or whatever. I don't know if she watches that show.
She might be pissed that you think she watches that, but no, I mean, usually when we watch TV, like she does have shows she likes to watch on her own, but typically like I'm not playing games while she's watching TV. Usually we'll like have dedicated time that we watch TV together. We have our shows that we watch together, so it's not like she's in there, watching TV for most of the night and I'm in here playing video games, Usually, if I'm playing video games, she's either playing games herself or she's reading or something like that.
Rick in the chat says, I feel like a dick playing that on the bus. Well, Rick, you say that, and I've heard conflicting reports. Now, I'm going to read an article first, and then we're going to go into some of the things that were speculated, and I'm going to give you my opinions. This next article is coming from Push Square and is written by Sammy Barker. I'm going to read the entire thing because it's literally just 3 paragraphs. Go give it a click. Project Q, the new portable remote device for the PlayStation 5, will allegedly have just 3 to 4 hours of battery life. That's according to insider gaming reports penned by Tom Henderson, who was responsible for accurately leaking the existence of the device earlier this year. This article adds that the unit is currently slated for release in November, as we've noted previously. While the 3 to 4 hours isn't an out-and-out disaster, especially considering the device is mostly intended to be used at home on a local Wi-Fi connection, it does seem a little on the low side. It's worth noting that the unit also includes haptic feedback and adaptive trigger technology of the DualSense, which is likely to be a big drain on the battery alongside its 8-inch LCD screen. As before, the peripheral success will likely come down to pricing. Sony will realize this is a niche project with a very specific appeal, but it will need to be a reasonable asking price to entice those who have a legitimate use case for it. PlayStation boss Jim Ryan promised more would be announced later this year, so let's await official information on the console. Now, that being said, if you can only use it at home, I think that's a major downside. You need to be able to play this over Wi-Fi, wherever you are. That's a thing. We don't know if this is only for the home. This is all speculation. They literally at the showcase just announced this and said more information is coming. Then the people started going wild on their speculations. We don't know anything other than it looks like a Nintendo Switch with DualSense on the side. That's all we know so far. And you can stream games. We don't know if there's going to be a dedicated game system for it. I don't think there's going to be, but they didn't announce anything. So we got to temper our expectations on this until we get an official announcement on it.
I'll just say that it has worse battery life than the Sega Game Gear. Although, to be fair, it's a rechargeable battery, I assume, and not 6 AA's like you had to pump into the
I was going to say,
Sega Game Gear.
Was it the Game Gear on batteries, AA's? Or double A's?
Yeah, it was on double A's, I think, and it was 6 hours. I think you could get out of that.
Yeah.
But man, what a system. Put the Game Boy to shame.
James, welcome to the chat. Rick says, nearly as long as the PlayStation 5 controller life. Yeah. You need to be able to play offline, or what's the point? I get it. And 256 gigabyte memory card, you could download games to. I agree. I think what they should do is, if you're not going to have dedicated games for this, you need a way to be able to download the games onto it. So if you do lose internet connection, or your internet's spotty or whatever the case may be, you can still continue to play the game. That kind of like what they did with PlayStation Now, where you could download the games and then you just have to connect it to sync your trophies or your save products or whatever stuff like that. But I'm not going to go into speculation. I'm excited that something like this is coming, but I'm holding my expectations down, because if this is literally just a device that I can play on my couch, to me, it doesn't make sense for me to buy one of these, because if I'm going to play my PlayStation 5, I'm going to play it on my big screen and whatnot. And if I have to use my PlayStation 5, it has to be connected to my PlayStation 5 on my home network, then to me, the device is pointless.
I'd say it's pointless anyway. I just don't see much of a need at all for this thing.
All right. Moving on. Oh, I clicked off the link. What the hell did I do that for? Quickly getting back to it. The next thing announced was Assassin's Creed Mirage got an October release date. That's going to be October 12th. This is the game where we're going back to the old style, like Brotherhood.
Looks like the most unexciting, uninspiring Assassin's Creed game I've ever seen.
All right.
I watched a trailer and it looks just like any other Assassin's Creed game. I know they're adding new stuff to it, but it just looks like a run of the mill Assassin's Creed game. What did you think watching this trailer?
I gotta be honest. I'm kind of excited they're going back to like the Brotherhood style of the games. I like those styles. I'm not so much a fan of the Odyssey, Origins, and Valhalla, big open worlds. I like the more condensed area, and this is the story, the more linear approach, I guess. They call it the smaller in scope, but I call it the more linear thing, even though it's still open world.
There's only so much you can sprawl out because bigger doesn't necessarily mean better. Arkham City was the best game of the Batman Arkham games, and yet there were two bigger games after it. So at some point you have to reel it in, but I don't know. I saw the trailer and I could not want to play an Assassin's Creed game less.
But you never played Assassin's Creed before Origins, right?
No, I played the original. I bought the very first game, and I'm pretty sure I played I played 2 and Brotherhood. I stopped after that. I don't think I played Revelations.
Okay, but now between Brotherhood and Origins that you played, which style of the game did you like better?
I think Brotherhood is my favorite, although it's hard to say because while I did like Brotherhood and, the whole Italian setting to it, the Egyptian setting was probably better.
No.
So gameplay-wise, I like
Brotherhood
the Ezio trilogy better. Setting-wise, I like Egypt better.
Okay, this is the Brotherhood gameplay based in, I guess, the Middle East.
Yeah, I don't know. The first game had an appeal to it because it was the first time we had ever gone, or really any game like that had gone to the Crusades or expounded upon the Crusades. And this one just kind of going back to the Middle East, like they may cover different ground, but I don't know. I watched the gameplay and I'm just like this. It looks like any other Assassin's Creed game. It just doesn't have the special setting to me that I saw in Egypt.
Well, I've already pre-ordered the game, so I'll be playing it.
That's fine. I'm not telling you not to pre-order. I'm just saying, look at the trailer. It does nothing to sell me.
I got you. Maybe the next trailer did sell you. That's Alan Wake 2 is coming out on October 17th. Remedy showed off another look at Alan Wake 2, the long-awaited horror sequel. The trailer showed Alan Wake's return, who appeared to be trapped in the dark place. This time, Wake is joined by a new playable character, Saga Anderson, who is joining Alan in his investigation. The game is coming out on October 17th. Alice, before you go into your comments, I said this on the Patreon episode, but to me, Alan Wake looks like a budget version of John Wick.
You mean the character or the game?
The character. He looks like and somebody else said he looks like Jared Leto.
I could see that. When was the first John Wick game out? Or the first John Wick movie out?
Movie?
Yeah.
Or game? Oh, John Wick.
Movie.
I'm sorry, John Wick. John Wick 1 came out in 2014. 9 years ago.
So it came out after Alan Wake.
Yes.
Well, I mean, it's unfair to call him a budget John Wick because
in the first game,
he's been in a dark place. He's haggard now. His hair's all grown out. His beard's all scruffy. Like that's how the man's gonna look. You established Alan Wake before you established John Wick, so maybe John Wick is just a more ritzy Alan Wake.
Okay. Anyway, I know you're looking forward to playing this game.
Game looks good. The person you mentioned, Saga Anderson, is like an FBI agent, I believe. So there are 2 FBI agents on the trail of Alan Wake, kind of trying to figure out the I can't remember the Cauldron Lake, like that whole area. I forget the name of the town or the city, but what's a small sleepy town? It's not a city, but it seems like the FBI is investigating things, and somehow Saga Anderson comes into contact with Alan Wake, and I guess it's just a telling of their investigation into what happened to Alan Wake and what just kind of the darkness is that surrounds that sleepy little town. But I mean, I'm going to play it. I'm going to buy it. I like the first game. I really hope that it's not as clunky as the first game was, gameplay-wise, control-wise. But, I mean, I love the whole concept of the flashlight and the shooting and the darkness and the enemies. So, and the fact that Alan Wake is an author. So, like, you see the FBI agents in the trailer, and they're, like, reading off what's happening because Alan Wake is kind of writing what's happening as they're experiencing it. So, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited that we actually got a sequel to that game because at one point, if you were on PlayStation, you never thought you would have gotten a chance to play the game. And then, Alan Wake came to PlayStation, and then now we're getting a sequel. So it's just kind of like Psychonauts, where I never thought we would see Alan Wake 2, but, Remedy is delivering.
All right. All right. So before I'm going to put a pause in the showcase, and we're actually going to go into our second part of our topic of the week, or second topic of the week, because it refers to Alan Wake, and we're doing good on time so far. So there is an original story, and then there is a update to the story. The first story is coming from IGN, written by George Yang. Alan Wake 2 will be digital only to keep the price below $70. Remedy Entertainment revealed that Alan Wake 2 will be a digital-only release across all platforms. In a frequently asked questions page on the Alan Wake website, Remedy explained, quote, "There are many reasons for this. For one, the large number have shifted to digital only. You could buy a Sony PlayStation 5 without a disc drive, and Microsoft's Xbox Series S is a digital-only console. It's not uncommon to release modern games as digital only," end quote. Remedy continued by saying that not releasing a disc helps keep the price of the game at $60 on console and $50 on PC. The studio did not want to ship a disc and then have it require a download for the game either, as it wouldn't be a great experience. There are also currently no plans to produce a physical copy of Alan Wake. I'm going to pause right there because that is the update to our story, because THQ Nordic has stepped in and has offered to do the physical version of Alan Wake 2. I'm not going to read the whole article, but just the tweet. Somebody put out there that it's going to be digital only, and THQ Nordic on Twitter responded by saying, "I mean, we did the disc version of Alan Wake for PC back in the day, and just because one person or company does not love physical, there's plenty who still do. Give us some thought. We'd love to give it a go again for full circle at all and all." So it looks like THQ is stepping up to produce the physical version of Alan Wake 2. But as far as Remedy, they don't feel like pressing disc is worth it anymore. Now, we've kind of got into this a little bit on the Facebook group, Alex. We kind of discussed this a little bit. And before I let you loose on your comments for the rest of us, some comments from Rick in the chat. Alan Wake got delisted for PC for 18 months due to licensing issue. Quantum Break is no longer available to be bought digitally on Xbox or PC due to licensing issues. At least they both have physical copies, so they are preserved. Once Alan Wake 2 gets delisted, it's gone for good. Yeah, okay, so he says game sales are at least 50-50 or swing towards physical so far. Not Remedy, okay. And then he says it's not Remedy who's the problem, it's Epic who's the problem for the physical, or for the digital only release. So, Alex, me and you, I mean, we've fully shifted to the digital only experience. I do own a PlayStation 5 with a disc drive, but you have opted to buy the discless version of the PS5 because you don't do physical anymore. Is this, I mean, we know that we're going to an all digital future. Is this, is this Epic who's now pushing the issue? Is this right? Or should they still be doing a physical release for the game?
I mean, each business owner, each platform holder, publisher, they got to do what's right for their business. They still obviously have to appeal to gamers because they have to have that support. But if you're pushing, Microsoft is the one that's pushing digital the most. Epic has their own game store where they sell digital games like Steam, PlayStation, even everyone except for really Nintendo. As far as the big platform holders and publishers, a lot of them are pushing digital. Like EA's got EA Play, Ubisoft has their own service to play on. So if you don't think that most of these publishers want to go all digital to cut out retail, to not have to press discs, to not have to ship discs to stores, to not have to deal with the plastic of a jewel case. Like, why do you think we don't have booklets anymore? Like, I used to love getting a booklet for a game. We don't get those anymore because they don't want to deal with them. So they're all going to push towards digital. And that's just the way we're heading. I can understand Rick's point. I don't want to sit here and like, without Rick here, I'm not going to go into the discussion he and I had the other day on Friday night, Saturday morning for him.
You both were going back and forth on it for a while.
Yeah, you just got two people with two different minds. I'm ready for an all digital age. There are only two games that I had for the PlayStation 4 on physical copies. One was a game that came bundled in. It was an Uncharted pack, I believe, and the second game was WB 2K17. WB 2K17 on the PlayStation was the last physical PlayStation game I bought, and it's because I didn't have internet that time because I just moved into my house. And I had to have something to play, so I went and bought a physical copy of the game from Target or Walmart or wherever. But ever since then, I bought digital. And I'm just ready for the digital age. I'm fine with it. Rick pointed out, how about when all these things get delisted? Well, to make a point, like something like Scott Pilgrim came back after it was delisted for years. So things can get delisted and come back. But in general, I do kind of collect Super Nintendo games. And I do still have some of my original Nintendo games. Now, I don't have original Nintendo like I have a Super Nintendo, but I do have some older games that I like to play every once in a while. But for the most part, if it's like PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4 era, the reason I go back to play Super Nintendo and Nintendo games is because they are short enough to be able to get, your jollies out of them for an afternoon, a night. You don't normally have to put 30, 40 hours into them. To replay a lot of the newer games, I'm going to have to set aside a specific amount of time, and it's probably more time than I want to go back and play an older game. So I'm just going to keep playing newer games. I have played numerous games numerous times. I've played Horizon Forbidden West almost, 2-3 times now. Played the original Horizon 2 or 3 times. So I am willing to go back and play games, but in general, what I found was I don't go back and play any of my old PS3 games. I still have a working PS3. I don't go back and play any of my old PS3 games except for the ones that I needed to get some trophies in last year to get the 100%. So I'm not someone who goes back and plays video games beyond like the SNES or the NES, because most games that you go back and play in the previous generations take too much time. And I would just rather spend that time playing new games that I have never experienced before.
All right. Before I get my comments, Rick says, every week I want to watch a movie and it's not available to buy or stream digital. I have to look online for a physical copy to watch it. Games are headed this way. I can't stop it, but I won't support it. Listen, Rick, I get it. And there are some people out there, Yield and Daryl, along with you. They want their physical copies. I get that. But for me personally, I've gone all digital because I like knowing that my games, like if I take my PlayStation with me to work or I take it to the goddess's house or wherever I'm going, I know my games are there. I don't have to worry about transporting it, or the game getting cracked, chipped, or whatever the case may be, or I lose it or whatnot. I know that, listen, it's on my system, and if I need it, I can just go back and, if I have to delete it, I can just go into the store, as long as I have an internet connection, download it, and I have my game back in 10, 20 minutes.
It's the convenience of it all.
Yeah, not
having to switch disc. I love the fact of having any of my games that I want, potentially after having to download them again, but on a one box. I don't want to have to dust a whole bunch of jewel cases on the shelf. I don't want to have to move a bunch of jewel cases. They can't be stolen. Digital games can't be stolen. They can't be lost in a fire. They can't degrade over time. I understand that they don't have any value as far as you can't resell them, but to be fair, a lot of older games don't have. You think about how many games actually have resale value in comparison to all the games that have ever been made, and it's actually a very, very small amount of them. So, I mean, it's just, for me, I've when it came to music, I got rid of all my CDs. I've stopped buying movies. There's just no movies I really want to buy. Now, I've already bought tickets to see the new Transformers movie day one, so depending on how good that is, and the reviews are very positive so far, saying it's like the best Transformers movie ever, there's a chance I may buy that on Blu-ray. But overall, I don't really buy TV series or movies anymore. I just have streaming services. So I do have an assortment of my favorite movies that I've had for a while now, but I'm just not really adding to that collection. So again, different desires. I mean, we are two different people. Like when Rick says he'll stop playing new games altogether if it goes all digital, I believe that he means it. but I don't think he's going to go that extreme with it. Will he play a lot of retro games to pass his time? I can believe that, but he might at some point see a game that he really wants to play, and I do believe he will play some new games every once in a while. I don't think he'll go completely extreme. Like you hear someone say, "Oh, I'll never play these games, never play new games again." I'm like, no, you will, because this is your hobby and you love it. Can you fill a lot of your time with retro? Sure, and I'm sure he and James can share a lot of time and bond over that. But there's still going to be at some point new games he wants to play. So I don't think he's going to go completely extreme with it.
He does say, I get the digital side and understand both your reasons. I just don't like the thought of games disappearing. I get it. I honestly get it. To me, like Alex said, I don't want a bunch of cases filling up my shelves.
Well, and look at it this way. I mean, even someone like Jeff Hanna, who praises Microsoft and them pushing things forward into a digital age, even he, I mean, he's a part of the games industry, so he cares about this kind of stuff. But games preservation, that's kind of the same argument that Rick is making. He doesn't want it to be where he can't access a game he wants to play. And I totally get that. I just think that people get lost in the thing. Like, people buy a disc at the store and they think they own the game.
They don't.
You don't.
That was the long argument we had with Donnie, because Donnie was like, no, I own the game. I'm like, no, technically you don't own the game. You just own a license for the game. Yes. And then when you go to GameStop and you're not and trade in the game, you're not traded in the game. You're trading in your license. You're selling your license back to GameStop, and then GameStop has a right to sell that for whatever they want.
Because as I explained, like, I see owning it as being able to take it wherever and whenever I want. You look at like Amazon, and I don't know if Amazon still sells DRM free MP3s, but I used to be able to buy an MP3 off of Amazon, just a single song, and I could put it anywhere I fucking wanted to.
Yep.
And to like, I own that. That's mine. But with a game, you have to play it on a specific console. You know, you can't take, you know, some things. I think you could play the GameCube games on the Wii. I believe you could do that. And, you know, Microsoft has done backwards compatibility. But for the most part, you have to play a specific disc or cartridge on a specific console. And whether you realize or not, that is a form of rights management.
And the other thing that I point out, that, like I said in the article, nowadays, it's the CD only really represents the licensing key, because when you put a physical game into your consoles nowadays, it still downloads the game. So the only difference between buying physical and digital is you're putting a disc in to download the game, where I'm just going to the store and downloading the game. That's really the only difference. Which is what nowadays.
They alluded to in the Remedy alluded to, saying that having to do a big day one download off a disc would be a good time. It wouldn't be a lot of fun. So they wanted to avoid that. Look, you know, I get Rick's point of give people options. If they want to release a digital version for cheaper, then do that, but still allow somebody to buy a physical copy. I understand his point. You're just talking to somebody who's already all digital. So I have no dog in the fight. Honestly. Well, I hate to say it that, because I love dogs and I hate dog fighting, but I have no skin in the game. So, you know, just two people have two different outlooks on things. And
all right, Rick's last comment, then we're going to move on, because we're getting a little pressed for time here. Rick says, that's a big part of the problem. I know I'm fighting a losing battle, but I'll die on this hill. Hey, listen, as a person that dies on many hills, I'm with you, Rick. All right, so going back to the showcase.
Well, you respect his right to die on the hill, but you're not with him in the argument.
Oh no, I'm not with him on this hill, but I've been known to die on many hills.
Well, at least we understand Rick's reasoning, unlike some of the hills you die on, where we just don't understand where you're coming from at all.
Rick says you're on the other hill. All right, Final Fantasy 16 got a new trailer ahead of the next month's launch. I don't know why this was in the showcase. We already had a state of play of this. I don't know. The game's coming out June 22nd. Yeah, we got that. Dragon Dogma 2. Alex, you interested in that at all?
I didn't play the original game, but I did watch the trailer. The game looks pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, giant mythical creatures. Visually, the game looks pretty stunning. I mean, I'm interested. I'm not, you know, saying that I'm definitely going to buy it, but the trailer definitely caught my eye. I think it was kind of more, for me, like, when it comes to things I've already, you know, kind of assumed I was buying, like Alan Wake 2 and probably Helldivers 2, unless there's like a stupid trophy attached to that game that makes me play for 1 million hours. But there's, you know, among the games that I was kind of on the fence on or had no interest in, like, this was the game that rocketed up immediately because of the trailer.
All right. Bungie's coming out with a new game, although it's not a new IP. Bungie announced a new entry in the Marathon series. Marathon is a first-person shooter Bungie originally released on the Mac in 1992, making it a pretty deep cut for Bungie to return to. The game isn't a direct sequel to the original, but Bungie says it belongs in the same universe. According to PlayStation, the game is PvP-focused and won't feature a single-player campaign. All right.
I mean, it's it's one of Sony's, you would assume, live service games. So
Yep.
that, they do have the single player games, but now they're going to focus on a little bit more of adding a multiplayer punch to their portfolio. So, and who better to do that than Bungie? So,
all right. Next thing we have is Street Fighter 6. We got a trailer of their story mode. That game is coming out next week. So again, I don't know why this was needed to be showed, but yeah, we got a little bit of the story mode. You'll be facing off against old and new favorites. So there you go. Alex, I know you're going to have something to say about this. Jade Raymond's Haven Studio has revealed Fair Games. Sony kicked off the event revealing Fair Games, which is coming to Jade Raymond's Haven Studio. The game is a competitive heist experience coming to the PS5 and PC about Robin the ultra-rich. The trailer started with images of hacking before seeing groups of other people attempting to break into banks. It appears to have a science fiction bend, as the characters were wielding very advanced-looking weaponry. No release date was given for the game. I'm interested in this as well, but I don't...
It's a heist game, right?
I kind of got the feel like this was Payday with advanced weaponry. Talking on the Patreon episode, Tross and Yield both said that this feels like it seemed a little weird because they were like they're stealthily breaking into the bank, and then all of a sudden a gunfight breaks out, and then you just letting the guards know you're there. It does. I don't know if there's going to be a single player with this, or it's going to have to be online. And just saying what Yield said, like if I'm breaking into a bank and it's online, like I don't want to be trying to get into a bank to rob it, and then all of a sudden this other group is coming here, and like now I got to fight to get out of the bank because somebody else wants to rob that bank. I don't know. It seemed weird. Also, we don't know if this is third person or first person, because obviously, if it's first person, I'm turned off. But if it's third person and it has a single player, I might give this a shot.
Yeah, honestly, I actually didn't see. I just looked at screenshots for this. I didn't see a trailer for it, so I can't really tell you. I mean, heist game. I played. What was the one heist game? Payday.
Yeah.
I tried playing that. I wasn't a huge fan of it, but maybe Haven can, do something a little bit more with the gameplay style. To me, it was just good to see what Haven was finally working on, and hear what Firewalk was working on too, because people kind of balked at Sony buying them. But it's just kind of nice to know what those unknown studios are working on right now.
The Talos Principle 2 is coming later this year. That's been a theme for this whole showcase, was like a lot of 2023 announced dates. Like there was very few games that were announced for, future. Even the Spider-Man, like I said, was called in fall of this year. We didn't get like a particular release date. But the Talos Principle is coming to the 5, the series, and the PC later. The game was announced back in 2021, and details have since its reveal have been very slim. The sequel is set to expand, quote, on the game's first philosophical themes and sudden environments with increasingly mind-bending challenges, end quote. I have no interest in this game, but it did look pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll see how it shakes out.
All right. Speaking of shaking out, why don't we shake some champagne into Foam Stars, which is a straight Splatoon ripoff, by the way. Square Enix has revealed its first look at Foam Stars, which appears to be a Splatoon-like game shooter. The game looked like characters are competing to cover the ground with as much foam as possible. As many fans in the chat were saying, it looked like Splatoon mixed with Persona. The game is coming to the 4 and the 5.
Yeah, it looks kind of like a grown-up, more... because obviously the Splatoon for the Switch is more... and I think the original Splatoon was on the Wii U, but, squid-like characters, more childish-looking characters. These are more grown-up characters, although still very much a cartoonistic art style. More impressive visually, so kind of more an adult Splatoon. Not saying that, adults don't play Splatoon. Some of my closest friends from high school play Splatoon. But it just looked like more adult characters and more impressive visuals. But yeah, I mean, it does definitely give off Splatoon vibes.
We got a look at the adorable indie, The Plucky Squire. It looks like an adorable, fresh take on the top-down action adventure, and we got a new look at the game in a trailer. The gameplay showed the Plucky Spire adventuring between storybook settings and real-world living room. The game looks like it will constantly be shaking up the gameplay with all of the different storybook settings and the characters hop into. I mean, it looked cool, but it's just not for me.
Yeah, I mean, we own a couple Splatoon games. I've never played them. A couple of my friends, like I said, they love them. They used to have like game nights for Splatoon.
Hold on. You Splatoon or the Plucky Spire?
Oh, sorry. I thought we were still on the.
No. This is a new game, Plucky Squire.
Plucky Squire. I passed. I was playing catch up after the showcase, and this is one of the games I skipped.
Okay, 10-4, moving on. Phantom Blade Zero is a new hack and slash RPG. It's set in the Phantom World, a place with the Chinese Kung Fu, steampunk, and more converge. The game will feature fast-paced sword combat taking place in a, quote, bleak and punishing, end quote, semi-open world. The game does not have a release date or a release window. This looked pretty cool. The gameplay, the sword fights looked phenomenal. At first, when I saw this trailer, I thought it was going to be Ghost 2, but it turned out that's not what it was. Did you see this one, Alex?
I did not. I think it's, as far as like, they had way too many Sony owned properties in here. I mean, Spider-Man was obviously the big, the big chief in this showcase. It's really the game that Sony's going to push the hardest until it's released later this year. And like I said, Firewalk, Haven, we learned what they're doing. Saw Bungie's working on Marathon. So there was enough Sony in this, I think, to not add Ghost into it.
Okay, what do you think about Flint?
But no, but it just wasn't one of the games that I looked at. Like I said, they announced a lot, they talked about a lot, and they showcased a lot. So like I said, playing catch up, I didn't catch everything. If it wasn't something that caught my eye, then I didn't think it was super important, I kind of just skipped it over.
Rick's mini rage in the chat. He says he's played Tomb Raider since the show started. He should have had the plat by now. He's apparently had to replay it for one trophy. So he wanted to listen
when that happens.
He wanted to listen to the show while he was doing that, but apparently he should have had it by now. All right, back to the showcase. Ghost Runner 2 was announced. You have any interest in this, Alex?
I did not play the first one, so.
All right. Ghost Runner 2 was a sequel to One More Level's action performer. New gameplay prominently featured vehicle combat with players riding at high speeds on a motorcycle. The game is coming out sometime this year. A game I do know that you had some interest in. Helldivers 2 was announced. Got confirmation of the sequel, the co-op action shooter from Arrowhead Game Studios. The sequel appears to maintain much of the satirical dystopian elements of the original, as the trailer kicked off with a comedic television advertisement. Plenty of gameplay was shown with a frenetic third-person shooting in tons of different biomes. The game is coming to the 5 and the PC this year. One thing Yield pointed out during the Patreon episode was that it was no longer top-down. You're now going to be playing as a third person. Alex, the floor is yours.
That's one thing that's immediately noticeable. The game looks great. And, I mean, the first game was a lot of fun. Like I said, it was just that one trophy for 100,000 kills that really killed me because, like, after I was done playing the game, I still had to play the game if I wanted to earn that trophy. So I kind of extended beyond the natural life of the game for me. But, I mean, yeah, they, as far as, like, it was kind of, I don't want to say it was jarring, but it was just kind of shocking that they went from the one view down to, like, kind of a third person behind the over-the-shoulder view. I'm not saying that's bad. It's just, it may be something that turns people off, people who love the first game, and then, you come to this and it's a third-person shooter. Like, I don't know. People may see that and be like, what is this? Why did you change it up? Why couldn't you just do... But then again, like, what did I play Helldivers in 2016? It's like it's 7 years ago. So games progress, sequels change. So I don't have a problem with it. Game still looks good. It's just kind of, that was the most immediately noticeable thing, was how they changed the perspective of it. And, hopefully it doesn't throw people off or turn people off to the game. But yeah, I just, like I said, I think it should be good. I just hope they don't have any real dumb trophies in there.
All right. Update from Rick. He says he stopped playing Tomb Raider because the show's been too engaging. So I guess we're putting on a good show. Too good of a show for Rick to play Tomb Raider while he's listening.
And we really haven't been arguing that much.
No, we haven't. Next game. Giant Squid reveals Sword of the Sea. Abzu and Pathless developer Giant Squid has revealed its next project, titled Sword of the Sea. The game takes place in an abandoned world where the terrain flows in constant waves, where you control a new movement mechanic known as the Hover Sword. This controls like a snowboard, skateboard, and hoverboard all in one. Just kind of looks like a... I don't want to downplay it, but it kind of looks like a Journey 2.
So it looks like a mix of Abzu and Journey, to be honest with you.
I didn't play Abzu.
Okay. So I did play. I played. So Giant Squid was started from veterans of that game company. So they did have people that work on Journey. So that while Abzu didn't, or while Giant Squid did not do Journey, they do have veterans who worked on Journey. So it to me, having played both Journey and Abzu, it looks like a marriage of those two games. I'm probably gonna play this because it looks pretty cool. I like it.
All right. Next thing, I know you're not gonna play, Alex, is Resident Evil 4 Remake VR mode. We got the trailer for that. We don't know when that's coming, but it is in development for the PlayStation 5 version of Resident Evil 4. The next thing we have is Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2 was announced for VR. That's coming sometime later this year. Gris creator has revealed Neva. That is coming next year. We didn't really get much of it other than a trailer where it looked like a wolf/deer was attacked, and that's all we really know. Stop me if you want to talk about anything, Alex. I'm just gonna keep moving.
Keep the train rolling.
Cat Quest Pirates of the Caribbean is coming next year. This was a showing a swashbuckling twist on the original Cat Quest. The kiddies are searching for a mythical artifact across adorable pirate-themed landscapes. The game is coming out sometime next year. Towers of Agashabara is a Breath of the Wild coming. Is a Breath of the Wild like coming is next year. It showing the character navigating the landscapes with a paraglider. There's a heavy nature influence here as we see tons of huge beasts and animals throughout the trailer. Revenant Hill is coming to the 4 and the 5. This trailer just showed basically a cat walking across, and we don't really know anything else about it. It's the side-scrolling, hand-drawn landscapes. Next game, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink is coming this winter. It's coming to the 5, the 4, and the PC. The game was announced way back in 2016 and is finally coming out this year. Platinum Games was originally aboard to develop alongside side games, but the two parted ways in 2019. More updates are scheduled sometime this summer. The next game, Ultros, is a colorful Metroidvania coming next year. It is a side-scrolling platformer with amazing, colorful art coming next year for the 4, the 5, and the PC. We got to look at the trailer today. Tower of Fantasy is coming. Next game is an open-world sci-fi game coming from Hada Studio. We got to look at the game's bright and colorful landscapes and fast-paced combat. I have a gripe about this trailer. Did you watch this trailer, Alex?
Not one of the ones I caught, no.
Okay, so so what I'm about to say is not really going to make a lot of sense to you, but you're going to understand what I'm saying. This trailer started off, and it was realistic graphics. You know, like in the old days, how, like, when you played a game, you could tell what was the gameplay compared to the cutscene. Nowadays, you know, that line is kind of blurred. Like, what you see in the cutscenes is the game.
Well, I mean, around the yeah, I get your point, but also, like, around the PS3 days is really when we started to have that issue, because it was hard. It started to get hard to tell then, or at least Sony or somebody could sell us, like the Killzone 2 thing. They could sell you on something and tell you it was gameplay when it might not. It was not.
Yeah, this trailer showed off, and it started showing some realistic graphics, and then they showed the gameplay, and it's all cartoony. Maybe that's a first world problem, but that kind of irritated me. Like, you showed you have the ability to do realistic graphics. Why are you doing cartoony stuff?
But again, realistic graphics, I think we've learned, may not always be the best thing, because look at Wind Waker. We talked about it earlier. That game was great. Even if people weren't keen on its art style at first, Nintendo showed that it was the right call. So even if you can do more realistic graphics, in some cases, the cartoony art style is what it calls for.
Well, then make your cutscene cartoony. Don't do two different art styles in the same game. At least today's
I get it, but at least they were upfront with it. That it was they didn't sell you on one thing and then the end product looks completely different. At least they were upfront about it.
All right, granted. All right, moving on. We got more VR2 games revealed. 3 of them I'm interested in. 1 of them I'm not. First one, Crossfire Sierra Squad. That looked fantastic. That's a military shooter, first person. When I get a VR2, that's the game I'm playing. Another one, Arizona Sunshine 2. Did you see that one, Alex?
Was it another shooter?
It was a first person zombie game.
Oh, I'm over zombies. That's probably why I skipped it over.
Oh, all right.
No, I didn't watch it, but I'm so done with zombies.
All right, well, if nothing else, because I know you're not going to play the game because it's VR, but go watch that trailer. That trailer is funny as fuck. The next game was Synapse. That's the one I'm not interested in. And Beat Saber was officially released or announced and released for the PlayStation 5. So it works with the VR2. All right. So next thing we have is Firewalks Concord is coming to the 5 and the PC. This is the first original game from Firewalk Studios. It is a new PvP multiplayer game set in a science fiction universe, and the game is coming to the 5 and the PC. So you brought up Firewalk earlier, Alex. Is this something you hoped you'd see from Firewalk?
I don't really have any hopes of what I saw for Firewalk. I just kind of, with all like the question marks in Sony's release schedule and what the studios were working on, I want less mystery. I wanted this showcase to reveal more about what Sony Studios were doing, and we did that. So, and as we kind of figured, Haven, Bungie, and Firewalk are all working on multiplayer games. We're starting to see the multiplayer be mixed further into everything. So, I want to know more about what Sony's doing. And even if I don't buy the game, I just kind of want to know more what they're doing. So,
all right. Well, I was kind of gonna wait until like final comments about this, but that's one of the things I've heard against this showcase is that this was the PlayStation showcase, and we didn't seem to get a lot of updates on the PlayStation studios themselves. A lot of this is focused on third-party studios. So that was one of the criticisms I heard. I understand somewhat, but I also feel like you got to keep some things in the bag and just keep the mystery alive.
What are they talking about? You had Insomniac's biggest game they're working on and Sony's biggest release this year. You had 2 of the new studios, Haven and Firewalk, and you had Bungie. Like, those are all PlayStation studios.
All right. So I sent you a picture. I think I put it in the Facebook group. I of all the Sony studios and what they're currently working on. So we didn't get an update from Team Asobi. We didn't get an update from Santa Monica. We didn't get an update from Sucker Punch. We didn't get an update from Guerrilla, even though we know what they're working on, but nothing was said about that. We didn't get.
They just put out Burning Shores.
Listen, I'm not arguing either way. I'm just saying we didn't get updates from these studios. We didn't get an update from Naughty Dog. We didn't get an update from Bend. We didn't get an update from Media Molecule. A lot of people upset we didn't get an update from Blue Point. We didn't get an update from Housemarque. We didn't get an update from Valkyrie. We didn't get an update from San Mateo. And yeah.
Well, San Diego is the show. They do the show. No, you said San Mateo, but Housemarque, yeah, it'd probably be around. I guess now we're going to hear about, their stuff at, maybe next year, but you figure that we're probably within a year out of hearing what they're finally working on or seeing the first trailer.
Listen, I'm not arguing and saying any of these studios should have shown. I'm just saying a lot of people were disappointed that they didn't see any updates, especially from Blue Point. What are they working on?
Blue Point was also purchased last year.
True. And a lot of people like Ben didn't give an update. I'm like, yeah, but how long was Ben working on Days Gone before we finally heard about that? And it was still another year and a half, 2 years before we got the game. Listen, I'm not arguing and saying we should have gotten updates. I'm just saying that's one of the criticisms I heard.
How long did it take them to develop God of War Ragnarok? Was it 5 years?
2 years.
No, because 2018, God of War 2018, and it came out last year, so it took them almost 4 years.
Oh,
right?
well, all right. To be fair, yeah. Because if you assume that they started working on Ragnarok the second they got done with the first one, yeah. But they were still technically working on the 2018 game for a little while longer. Because they did updates and they did a new game plus and all that stuff. All right.
Well, yeah, I'm sure they were doing fixes. They had a small team on fixes and whatnot.
Yeah. All right. So back to the showcase. We got a trailer from Immortals of Avium. It's a single-player first-person magic shooter that's coming to the 5, the series, and the PC on July 20th. And yeah, that was the last game that we had announced. So I know you didn't watch the full show. You only watched some trailers. But overall, Alex, what were your opinions on the showcase?
I think they got a lot of information out there. They talked about a key game that everybody wanted to hear about, and that was, Spider-Man 2. They had some reveals for some of their newly purchased studios. They featured Bungie, which obviously that was a big purchase for them. So they want to have Bungie out there and talking about what they're doing with Marathon. People can talk about how it's a lot of third party, but oh my God, that's what's floating Game Pass right now is third party studios. So I don't know how people can throw shit at Sony. Like if you're not going to buy studios, you have to have this thing where you're like, hey, want to stay in good with the third party studio. So let's, we're doing a big show. We want you guys as part of this. So you have your big new Assassin's Creed game. You have Dragon's Dogma, the sequel. You have Remedy out there with Alan Wake 2. And like the first announcement, like the first reveal of that trailer, and you get out there, in the forefront. So whether or not Microsoft does a little thing on Twitter where they're like, hey, look at all these games coming to Xbox.
That's the other thing I was going to say is, people were really salty. Xbox tweeted that out like an hour or two after the showcase was over. It's like, hey,
again,
all these games are also coming to Xbox.
Again, ever since Psychonauts 2, they haven't released a whole lot, which I will remind everyone, Psychonauts 2 is a crowdfunded game that was started as an independent game before Microsoft ever bought them. So there's that. Yes, they may have helped them finish it, props there, but after Psychonauts 2, what have they released besides Redfall, which was a massive disappointment? So, I'm sorry, people will throw shade at Nintendo for the longest time for not putting out enough games to have, to keep their customers happier. Like, there was a period there where people were like, well, Nintendo's not putting out enough games because they don't have the great third-party support, so we had to rely so much on the first party. But let's get it real. Microsoft right now, all they have is third parties because their first parties aren't getting it done, or it's going to take more time than we thought to get their first-party games out. So how Microsoft can throw shade and be like, look at all these third-party games coming out. Yeah, that's what's floating your fucking Game Pass right now because you ain't got no first-party to put on there. So it is what it is. But I mean, when you're the head of your game studio, Phil Spencer comes out and says, we'll never be in first place again because we're losing this generation and we got our ass kicked the last generation. It's kind of hard to come out and crow and be like, oh, look at this. A lot of people, or at least I saw some people saying that Sony's presentation was weak. I don't think so. I think they showed a lot. I think there was something for everybody. They gave us, some surprises. They gave us updates on big games we wanted to hear about. And to think beyond this, we still have another Horizon game coming. We've got the Wolverine game. We've got another Ghost of Tsushima. Whatever Santa Monica's working on. There's whatever Housemarque's working on next. Like, Polyphony Digital obviously is going to be moving on to the next Gran Turismo. There's so much coming from Sony, and I don't know, just the fact that we got one massive game from this and then a lot of great third-party stuff, and then also we learned some more about some of Sony's newer studios. I think it was a good showcase. I don't know what people are griping about, but again, everyone's entitled to their opinions, but I thought it was a good showcase. Even if I didn't want to buy every game, or if I only wanted to buy a few games, I still thought it was a good showcase because their entire business is not appeasing me with every single game they show.
Well, also from the Patreon episode, one of the things Yield said was that if you're an RPG fan, this showcase was fantastic. Otherwise, it wasn't, because a lot of these were RPG games. And I pointed out to Yield, like, I think he looked at the showcase in the wrong way, because he looked at it as, none of those games appealed to him. But the showcase showed off plenty that appeals to everybody else. And it was about the future of Sony, not the future of what Yield likes. And I'm not saying that like it's a bash Yield.
Well, that's what Yield is commenting on. Every time he asks his opinion on a showcase, his opinion is, how does any of this relate to him? He doesn't really look at it as, which fair. If honestly, outside of what he wants to play, should he care what Sony's doing? You know, so, but also you have to look at it as an overall business strategy. If you're really going to grade Sony on something, you have to look at their overall business strategy, which whether or not Yield likes to play most multiplayer games, there's a large section of video gamers who do like to play multiplayer games. So you have to put more of that in your mix. They bought Savage Game Studio so they could have more mobile. You just have to have a mixed portfolio, because honestly, if Sony was running their company on what Yield wanted, they would be very one note.
Yes, they would.
And I'm not saying that to dish Yield. He likes his specific games, which is fine. Those are the games he likes, but they have to appeal to more than just Yield. So he's grading it on what he likes and his interest, and they are grading, and you have to grade it on overall their business strategy and what they're doing and how many people they can appeal to, because they have to sell consoles and games to everybody, or as many people as have the PlayStation. So again, good third-party support, good first-party showing, and yeah, I thought it was good. And again, there were only a few things I was interested in, you know, like Sword of the Sea, I think it was called, from Giant Squid, and Alan Wake 2, and then Helldivers 2 probably. But you know, that's a small percentage of the showcase, but still, like, I still feel like I came away with some good stuff there.
Yeah, outside of them showing Final Fantasy, which I don't think was needed, showing Street Fighter, which I don't think is needed, and essentially them showing Assassin's Creed, which we're going to get more news on in a couple weeks anyway when Ubisoft does their forward. Outside of those 3 games, like, I feel like they were unnecessary to be in the showcase. I think it was overall good showcase. I agree with the criticism that I feel like we could have gotten more, because this was a PlayStation showcase. This is essentially your E3 showing of the year. I think we should have gotten more. I'm not hating on it. I'm not trying to like poo-poo on them and say like, oh, this should have been done, blah, blah, blah. I wish they would have showed us more, but at the same time, I'm perfectly fine with what they showed us. I think this was a good showcase. I think they did a good job, and I'm good with it.
Yeah, but you just want to remind people, give people a little reminder that Final Fantasy 16 is coming, and it's a time exclusive for the PlayStation 5. I mean, for God's sakes, it's what pushed Homer to get a PlayStation 5 to level up as far as video game consoles. And the Street Fighter thing, doesn't Sony run EVO, the big fighting game tournament?
They own it now, yes.
Yes, so they're always going to be in bed with Street Fighter. And again, it's another big release coming out this June. So even in a small way, I think it's smart to remind fans that, yeah, you want them to associate Final Fantasy 16 and Street Fighter with Sony and with PlayStation and not with Microsoft, regardless of whether it comes to Microsoft or not, because really that's what Microsoft is doing. It would be doing a disservice to them if they didn't remind everyone that a lot of these games are also coming to the Xbox. So yeah, it's always good to remind people, hey, because again, you want association with your console, even if it's a multi-platform game.
I get that, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to hate on or anything. I just wish that we would have gotten more. That's all I'm saying.
But I'm sure Sony has like a very staggered approach to his game releases, as any of the big publishers do. You don't want to dump all of your eggs out for everyone to see. You want to save stuff for later on down the road.
Yep, I agree. All right. With that being said, let's close out the show. Alice, your shout out, sir.
I want to give a shout out to the listeners, our community, the fuel to the fire that is Trophy Whores. I know we had Rick in the chat. Who else? We had James in the chat, and
JT. We had JT just came back.
JT, love me some JT. We were supposed to have JT on the show a little while back. I know he had some things going on, and we had a guest on the show, so we couldn't have JT on. But we need to get JT on soon because JT's a fantastic guest. We all love JT. Give a shout out to all of those fantastic people in our chat, our tremendous community that really keeps us going, the fuel to our fire. Give a shout out to Tricky and to Yield, who could not be here tonight. Happy anniversary to Yield and his wife. Can we say her name on the show? Are they cool with that?
I'm sorry, I blanked out for a second. What'd you say?
Yield, and can we say his wife's name on the show?
Yeah,
is he cool with that?
We say the Amy Meister.
Happy anniversary to Yield and Amy. I don't know how many years it's been. It's been a while though. So happy anniversary. That's how he's spending this evening. Hopefully they're doing some fun stuff. Have a nice dinner maybe. They deserve it. A shout out to I'm trying to think here. I guess I guess we'll end with give a shout out to my awesome and loving girlfriend Ashley. I love you, hun. Let's finish up Succession tonight on HBO, the series finale. And yeah, that's about all I got.
All right. First, I want to give a shout out to Harley, who seems to have finally been housebroken. She's starting to go outside a lot more and holding it inside, so I'm very grateful of that. I don't want to keep cleaning up pee and poop in the cage anymore. So shout out to Harley, who's behind me whining because she wants to be fed, and I'm 14 minutes late with that right now. Shout out to Sweet Mama D and the Goddess. Shout out to, well, I don't want to use their real names. The Goddess's family, who we did a barbecue today for Memorial Day. Shout out to Alex, not Alex, I'm sorry, Yield and the Amy Meister on their anniversary. That's why Yield wasn't with us today. Shout out to Alex and Ashley, who, well, I want to give you a twerp, you, Alex, because you've really been giving me hell over the last 2 days. But
like I said, I call it like I see it.
I love you like a brother, and, you know, brothers fight, so I'm going to let it go. I won't give you a twerp you, but
but to be fair, Rick and I were going back and forth. We weren't being disrespectful or rude or anything, but he and I were having a going back and forth on the physical digital thing, so it just kind of happens sometimes.
Yes. But I do want to give a special shout out to Ashley for having to put up with your ass. Your grouchy ass.
I mean, I'm getting to 40. What do you want from me? I'm old and I'm tired. I'm cranky.
Rick says, feed your dog, Tricky. I'm going to. He said, good show, guys. Good show, guys. Later. Tricky, you do deserve the shit. Just kidding. All right. Shout out to all the listeners. Thank you very much. Shout out to the Goddess. Shout out to Sweet Mama D. Shout out to all the listeners. Appreciate you guys. And until next week, happy trophy hunting.
Later. Everybody have a good Memorial Day.
The theme song is Venus by the band Even off their album Zenith. Permission granted by the band and 12 Stone Records. You can find them on Facebook by going to www.facebook.com/evenphilippines.